Hi everyone, welcome to Body Empowerment. Thanks so much for tuning in. For today's episode, I am answering a question about recovery from a viewer. They asked, why is it so hard to reach out when my eating disorder is active in my life? Do I feel most undeserving then, or ashamed, or a failure at recovery? Have you ever felt toxic, that somehow you could pollute the people around you by letting them in? Is it feeling that I need to be contained that makes me afraid to eat and also afraid to reach out? Thank you to the viewer that asked this question. It is profound, raw, honest, vulnerable, necessary, and tremendously articulate in getting at the so much of what recovery and an eating disorder can feel like. I think the question answers itself. Yes. I think that when we are at the depths of our pain, that is when we are most afraid and ashamed and terrified to reach out. And yes, I have felt so toxic that I was afraid of polluting those around me. So I think the big thing is coming to understand that those feelings are okay feelings to have. And those feelings of feeling too toxic and capable of polluting your loved ones and those around you, of needing to be contained, of feeling ashamed and undeserving, those feelings are not conditional to an eating disorder. Those are human feelings. Those feelings can exist 20 years into being recovered, right? So it's learning to cope with those feelings in a way that isn't through eating disorder behavior. To break it down a bit, an eating disorder is about fear, right? It's about an abundance of fear and a lack of love. Recovery is abundance of love and a way to cope with fear where it is not abundant or overwhelming. Because I don't know that as humans it's possible to get rid of fear, but what we are capable of doing is learning how to deal with it in a really healthy and productive and efficient way. There are 4 kinds of eating disorders: anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, and eating disorder not otherwise specified. They are all physical manifestations of behaviors and symptoms that have to do with body and food. But at their core, they are all emotional illnesses, right? Mental illnesses and emotional situations. So, for example, anorexia, from my experience and observation, is about emotionally withdrawing, right? And from my experience, binging and purging is about emotionally oversaturating and an emotional release. So it's recognizing those things and learning and exploring and considering alternative ways to cope with those emotional needs in ways that are not with food and body. So for example, for me, when I feel the need to emotionally contain myself, because that is a human need, that has nothing to do with an eating disorder, that has to do with being human. When I feel the need to emotionally contain myself, I simultaneously tend to also need to emotionally oversaturate, right? So that's like restrict and binge. So what do? One of my big things is to watch a lot of a TV show in a row, right? Like, so sit down and watch 4 episodes of a TV series online. I'm usually fine after that. My biggest emotional release, when I need to emotionally release, I tend to phone a friend. I tend to touch base with a healer or mental health professional in my life, in my toolbox. I reach out to a loved one, a family member, my partner. And I know different friends and loved ones to go to for different things, right? I have my people I go to when it has to do with body. I have my people I go to when it has to do with family. I have my people I go to when it has to do with work. And I have learned who and what makes me feel best when I am in those moments of vulnerability and extreme fear and extreme need to contain or release. And I do not use food. And that's That's what being recovered is, right? So it's all about giving yourself permission to feel those things, but learn healthy, non-eating disorder ways to cope with those feelings. The other thing that is crucial is coming to an awareness, belief, and then knowing, right? Belief is strong, but knowing is the strongest. So coming to an awareness, and then a belief, and then a knowing that you deserve love, that you deserve to not feel ashamed, to not be toxic, to know you are not toxic. And so it's that twofold combination of the epiphany and realization that you are loved, that you deserve love, that you can be healed, that you do not need to live with an eating disorder, coupled with having ways to cope with those emotions that help you out of the cycle, of the vicious cycle. I hope all of that is helpful. Thank you again to the viewer who asked this. Really, I think it's a gorgeous question. It gets at so much, and I can only imagine there are so many people out there that have felt this way, that feel this way. I know for me, it touched me deeply. And obviously there is a huge risk involved in taking that leap to use healthy non-eating disorder coping mechanisms versus ED behavior. I wish you love in taking those risks. You, whoever you are, out there, multiple yous, in taking that risk. Thank you all so much for tuning into Body Empowerment today. It has been an amazing few episodes with a lot of guests and interviews, so I encourage you to check out those recent episodes. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and stay updated and tuned in for upcoming Body Empowerment episodes. They air every first and third Monday of the month. And have a beautiful day. I'll see you next time. February 18th will be the next episode. And I welcome any viewer questions and requests for upcoming episodes. Thanks, everyone.